friends, it's Cindy Brumbaugh from CindyLeeBDesigns.com, independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. Today I would like to showcase the Wildflower Designs bundle. Has this great stamp set with dies that cut out these flowers. And you can find this in the new Stampin' Up! 2024 annual catalog that runs until 2025 as well. And on page 41, you'll see this Wildflower Designs. This paper is so pretty. When I first saw it, I'm like, oh, that's a little old-fashioned, but do you know what? I have been seeing these prints everywhere. I was just at breakfast with my daughter and her family, and somebody had on a dress, I swear, that was made from this pattern. So this is really actually pretty trendy colors in here. It has some of the in colors that were the outgoing ones, Wild Wheat and Moody Mauve. And I guess I was thinking Boho Blue is not in this, but it looks very similar, but they're using Misty Moonlight. And you have Mossy Meadow and Early Espresso and Crumb Cake. So you've got some beautiful colors to mix in with your neutrals. So let me show you what we're going to do. Using these dies, we're gonna make 3 cards, and I'm gonna show how to make your dies really work for you here. We are going to take a piece of Mossy Meadow, and we're going to use this die. I'm going to just take these out of here so it's a little bit easier to do. We're going to take this die here, and it cuts out a frame, but when it cuts out the frame, it also breaks out a piece of stitched, also breaks out. Yes, it broke out of there. It was captive, and now it's free to do what we want it to do. So that comes out of here, and that is our Mossy Meadow using this die. We're going to use this fun scallop die, and when we put this on a piece of white paper, or any other color you're doing for that matter, it is also going to come out as 2 independent pieces, a frame and this inside. As you can see, that is using that scallop, and you'll see that this will layer onto here, layers into here, this layers onto here. So we've got all kinds of fun things we can do with just 2 runs through our Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. So we've got that piece, we've got this piece, and then I'm going to also do that one more time, and I'm going to do it with the Moody Mauve. So you get those 2 pieces there. So now I'm going to show you 3 runs through the Big Shot. Oh, actually, there's going to be one more run through the Big Shot because we are going to be running this one with this piece here. You'll also notice in the suite, the Wildly Flowering suite that has the Wildflower Designs, you have this embossing folder, which is called the Dashing Designs. And then we are going to use that to emboss this piece of mauve on the card we're going to do. Okay, so we've got our pieces here. We're going to set this aside, and I'm going to show you how we're going to use these to make 3 different cards. Okay, these are the 3 cards we're going to make. This pretty one here, this one here, and this one here. So these are the 3 cards we're going to make, but we're going to use all these interconnecting pieces that fell out and popped out, and we're going to make that. Okay, so let's start with this one. Oh wait, let's start with this one here. Okay, this card, we are going to be using one of the beautiful prints in there, and that is having a Misty Moonlight base. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to be using this frame on here, but I'm going to tell you what I did to get this. Okay, so here I took the die, the scallop die, and I cut it out here. But what I actually did is I turned it over this way, because when you go to do these things, you'll notice, I don't think you can notice on here, but it gets kind of a shiny appearance, and you don't have the best impression of the embossed little rays that are in each one of those scallops. So what I do is I want the good side. So what I did is I turned this DSP over and I cut it this way. because then I knew this was the good side. Okay, and then we're going to be layering. Then we're going to turn this over. This isn't really directional. Some of them kind of have a direction, but it would go onto the front of our card here. Let me get my Stampin' seal here and get some on there. Here we go. A little bit here and here. And we are going to put that onto, and I like to kind of go this way because then I can see a larger section. And it looks like I'm going to be straight here. Oop, moved my hand there a little bit. There we go. And then we're just going to layer in our Moody Mauve there. And here, I think this is my glue that was cooperating with me. I'm going to flip over, and you'll notice, like, see, this one, it's not as defined as this side. And there have been times where I have accidentally flipped over and had the wrong side. And of course, it's after I've already adhered it and there's just no going back. And then I just hope that nobody notices if they didn't know how good it was supposed to look. Now, one thing I did notice when I did this is if you go to put, now this actually is fitting in perfect, but it didn't fit in perfect. Well, this one is working fine. You might have to flip it just because we flipped over the paper, but it fits right back in to that die cut that we cut out. And then you just get it adhered into there. And then remember, this piece is what we cut out, and we're just going to put that into the inside and have a nice contrast with the DSP. You can either put your glue right in here and then pop. And you could also do this, but if you were going to do this and put it right back in, then you would have just put this layer right, and make sure your flowers are going up on this pattern. But like I said, you wouldn't have cut it out if you were just going to use the same pattern, unless you were going to pop it up or something. Now that would look cool. Okay, so now we have that contrast of those two different papers, and that just happens to be the back side of this one. There is a Moody Mauve pattern that looks just like these flowers here, that tone on tone, but it actually has a wild wheat, and the colors don't seem to really go together. So we've used that scallop frame, and then I wanted to just put Stamping Happy Thoughts, and all I did here is use a 3/4 inch wide strip of paper, and I stamped it on the basic white, and then I just cut it with my scissors and made a great little die across there. I cut the same size of Mossy Meadow, and I put it directly under that and cut it exactly the same size, and then I just skewed it a little bit so that it had some more of a, just a little added bonus there. And then I used our In Color twine, which I do believe is still current, and that's the 23 to 25 In Color jute trim, and it's a little bit heavier than our linen thread twine. And I just tied a sweet little bow and put it on with a glue dot, and then I used these new embellishments we have, and these are the opaque sparkle dots. They have a little subtle sparkling in there that you really actually see. I don't know if you can see it in the video, but they have a nice little sparkle to it, and I just used the Moody Mauve color. So that tied in everything so that I had a fun little card. On this one, I want to show you a little trick here, but I can't do it yet. I want to stamp the Sending Happy Thoughts here. Sending Happy Thoughts, I want to put You've Been on My Mind, but I have it in my Stamparatus right now. That's why this isn't adhered in here perfectly yet, because I'm going to make sure I do it correctly. So we're going to step back in a second to finish up this card here. Okay, now the next card we're using a Moody Mauve card base, and we are going to take a look at what I did with this one. Okay, so started with that card base, and it's in a landscape position, and it is 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4.25. And I kind of did that. The nice thing about cutting your card in that 8.5 by 5.5 is it can become portrait or landscape. A lot of times I cut my portrait longer and score at 5.5 and have them open from the bottom, just because they're easier to display at my tables. And sometimes I confuse the girls because they think they have the wrong piece of paper. I'm like, no, it's still the same portrait. It's just we opened it this way, but it's sometimes easier for me to make the card that way and put on my displays. But sometimes it is a little bit I throw them for the loop because they think they're not making the right card. But that's just the way I do it there. So as you notice, what I did on this one is I did cut out the label on here out of this white because we're going to be covering it up anyhow. And isn't this pretty? This actually would be pretty as well, except for I'm using blue, so I want to use the side that has the blue in it. But I really, that wild wheat is a really great color. We're just so used to all these brights and these pastels that sometimes we don't. Oh, now I'm going to want to put, now the reason I put this white around here wasn't the sole purpose of making sure I cut the label from it, but this Moody Mauve was so Moody Mauve that it was really not standing off from my card base that I made. On the other card we just made, the Misty Moonlight card base was a nice, come on there, getting every last drop out of this glue. The Misty Moonlight, oh wait, here a little bit here. Get that down there, okay. Alrighty, now make sure my flowers are going in the right direction. As you can see, these flowers really, and this was the pattern I was telling you about that had, so we're gonna put that on our card base. And see, whenever you put the white behind it, it really pops it off. Whereas this one, you do see a nice delineation of the Misty Moonlight and the cardstock from the designer series paper. But on this one, it really, really seemed like I wouldn't notice it as much. So I went ahead and put the white behind it. So I then took this piece that we cut out from this die here, and that is going to be, we'll make sure I'm gluing on the right side. That is going to be centered on this card. There we go. Okay, centered on that card. And then I used the back. I used the piece that I cut out from this card here, that back piece here. I am going to use that layered on here. So don't pay attention to the back of this card because actually I didn't do what I just said. I thought I could fake you guys out, but I accidentally cut out of the wrong one. But both of them are blue, so it worked out okay. Because what I wanted to do is use up every piece. So whenever I did die cut, it just happened to be I die cut this out of the one, but the blues are almost exactly the same. And my intent was to use Misty Moonlight. So we can layer that die cut into there. And then I used this piece that we cut out, and that was the other piece that fell out of here, of course, and the scallop was on our first card. So what I'm gonna do to this one though, is I ran it through the embossing folder that I mentioned at the beginning, what was it? Dashing Designs. It just doesn't seem like that's the right name for that. Dashing Designs. It just seems like this should be more something like quilted or tapestry or something. But I'm going to put that into this frame. And once again, I can put it on to directly inside here because it fits in exactly. And it's a little, there we go. And that has a really neat pattern to it. But just make sure actually you could use the debossed or the embossed, but I'm going to use the embossed side, and I'm popping that right into there. And then just hold that for a moment. Okay, now I want to show you how I slickly got done a bunch of these for a swap. Okay, I've shown you this before, but every time I do it at class every month, I still explain it again. So what I did is I put my stamp and I stamped it on a piece of white. Okay, stamped it perfectly. Then I die cut a piece of white. And when I die cut that piece of white, I brought it back and I put the negative that you normally would throw out in the garbage. I put it exactly the way I would want it to be on my sentiment. Then I come back with the piece that I die cut out of here and I pop it in there. And then I got my Moody Mauve ink pad. And now I stamped it perfectly. There we go. Other than I got a little blob of ink on there. But by the magic of television video, I have this piece here. And you can then cut, not, you know, just run them through. And I ran like 40 of these through. And then I just kept popping them in, close, pop, close. And I've got this perfect die cut there. Now, as long as I leave this stamp here and I leave this here, this always works. And I've been known to have a few of these laying around my stamp room, and then I'm realizing I need my stamp, I need some more of these. But anyhow, once you're done with that, you know, and sometimes I'll do this and I'll store it if I made a quick card, but I want to get back to it later. And sometimes I'll be looking and open up my stamp set and wonder where this is. And my mind says, go look at your plates for your Stamparatus. It's probably on there. But like I said, as long as I don't move this, I can always put this back in here. And that's just a temporary thing, of course. No, you're not going to leave that on there for months at a time. But I am going to take this off now that I showed you that, because I want to put in I want to stamp You've Been on My Mind on the inside of the blue card. So let me bring that back down here. Here it is. So on the inside of this blue card, I stamped the flowers in blue, and now I'm going to use mauve again. I think I have that pretty straight. If not, I would put it in my stamp positioning tool. And then I'm going to put that right here. You've Been on My Mind. And that corresponds lovely with Sending Happy Thoughts. And that finishes off that blue card. Okay, so now back to this one, now that we have taken that little commercial to show how to get a bunch of these done. Okay, so the next thing I did with this one is I went ahead and used here's my die, but I wanted to give this a little pop-up. So I did put this on dimensionals, but before I put it on dimensionals, I took which you guys probably have, is I had some, where did I put it? Anyhow, I had this Misty Moonlight ribbon here. This was from when Misty Moonlight wasn't in color. So I had this pretty ribbon, it corresponded with the blue, and it pulled the blue out. I just did a little loop and put it under there, lifted this up with 3 dimensionals, middle and the 2 sides, and then I jazzed that up with where is that Misty Moonlight ribbon? Had it all sitting out here. Oh, here it is. There we go. So easily just kind of do one of these, and I'm just going to put a little bit of glue there where I know it's going to be, and then I just kind of looped it around, put it on the glue, put it on the adhesive, pop this up with some dimensionals. 1, 2, 3. I did it last night, girls, the first time ever. I stamped with my little 3.5-year-old, or yeah, 3.5 and 2.5-year-old granddaughters. It was so cute. And it was funny because I heard my husband saying, yes, I used some old wooden stamps and some old essentially starting to dry out felt pads that I thought would be easily not get too many ink there. I'll have to post a little video of it. It was so cute because I did videotape. Okay, so now we've got a little bit of ribbon there. I'm going to use my bigger scissors to just cut it off so that it doesn't, so it fits in the card. There we go. And then I used another new embellishment, the adhesive back texture dots. These are really pretty. They have this bit of texture on them. They even just feel nice. So I'm gonna pop one of those. So back to the little girls stamping. So my husband's going tap, tap, tap. And I was just like, oh my gosh, he must, like, he's got it. He understands tap, tap, tap. It was so cute. And he stayed there for the longest time with us and helped them do it. Now the little 2.5-year-old would kept picking up the ink pad, had it everywhere. And needless to say, we did have to do a laundry run after that, but it was fun. I can just see it when they're like really stamping with me. I'm gonna love that. So you've got your second card made with the Moody Mauve card base. So I'm gonna sit those aside up here. Okay, now we have this one left over. We have, oh, I'm gonna show you with the next card. Where is it? Where is the next card? Oh, here it is. I have them really stacked, honestly, kids. I have it totally stacked where I need it to be, and then I end up moving everything. So on this one, okay, this one has this other die that's in the set. And you can attest, if you spoke to my friend Cheryl, half of the conversation the other day we were having was me looking for this die. We thought of everything. I lost that die. She's like, is it under your Big Shot? No, it isn't. Is it under your Stamparatus? No, it isn't. I pulled out a dresser and found a whole bunch of stuff I didn't know back there, all washi tape, pieces of cardboard. All kinds of stuff was behind it. But this piece actually somehow got stuck in the little container that I have all my acrylic plates in. So I did find it. But this one here is a standalone die. It doesn't fall out of here. It just is a die. So what I did on this one is I used this really pretty crumb base thing, DSP. Now, it does have stitching on it, so you want to make sure you're getting the right side. So I cut it on the side that I wanted to look nice on the front this way. And I do suggest when you're doing that, remember if you have really scratched up plates, you're gonna get that indentation into your paper. So I just made sure I had my plates were nice and clean, and I pulled them over. That kept this really nice. And then I have this piece left over, okay? Because I'm going to use that on my card. And what I'm gonna do on this card is I'm gonna show you how I popped it up, because remember on that other card I said, oh, why would you ever cut this piece out if you were just going to put that mauve scalloped frame over it? But in this case, I still cut it out because I wanted the other color, okay? So let's put that on an early espresso card base. Let's get the border. You see how easy it is with glue because it just slides around. That's one reason why I like using that. Now for this one, I want to pop this up just to give it a little dimension here. So I'm going to, because like I said, why would you cut this out? Well, it actually went like this, but why would you cut that out if you were going to pop that back in? But you would if you were going to create a different pattern, a different look on your card, creating something. But what I'm doing on this one is I'm going to pop up that middle piece. So not only is it a different color, when you see the card in person, you can see that it's elevated. So we're going to just pop that in there as if, there we go. So we have a little bit of dimension on the card. And then what I did is took the leftover white, because remember, we did that one. This is the only thing that you're actually left over with. And I was going to use that on this card and just put that in there, but it was white on white, so I didn't do that. So this one, we're going to also put the little dots on right into the scallops. Come on, cooperate with me. Okay, we're gonna pop that to be a frame around the blue DSP. That DSP is called Wildly Flowering. Wildly Flowering. Okay, then remember we used this big die on the mauve card. We're using the frame that came from this one, okay? So we're going to put that frame around the white scallop frame. And once again, just make sure, because when you're going to do it, you're gonna see stitching on both sides, but just remember, one side is a good stitching, and also have out your craft silicone mat, which I did have out earlier. But I cleaned off my surface so that I could do this, and then I forgot to show you. The nice thing about having this craft, see, that's why. That's the good thing about having that out, is because then you don't get little marks all over, little pieces of glue that you don't even realize are on your surface until you go to lift something. And glue isn't so bad. Whenever there's a stray piece of ink, now that's where you can have to redo a card. Okay, so this was our next frame that fits lovely on the front in a portrait or a landscape style. And we'll put that around there. And then what I did is I used crumb cake, and I stamped in the Mossy Meadow on crumb cake, and I put that on my, but not before I used our fun, and I did see that ribbon. Where is it? Here it is. Here it is. I took a little piece of our new, no, this one is from last year, right? No, this is current. Yeah. The textured, the Moody Mauve textured ribbon. Yeah, I think, do we still have it? Maybe we don't. Maybe we just have the jute right now, but I'm sure you still have this. I'm just kind of trying to keep within the colors of my card. Just put a little bit of color, a little bit of texture there, and then we're just going to put some adhesive across there. I put a dimensional on that's going to go right there because I have this raised up, and so I just took that and put it there. It brings out the neutral of the crumb cake. And then I used some of our fun brass butterflies, and they're right here. And I just used some of these ones because why? They are just so cute. And I have a lot of them. So I'm going to use a big one up here. I'm going to pull these out and put a larger sized one down here as well, and then get one of the bitty ones. And it's gonna go right there. And so that jazzes up the front of that card. Now I wanted to do something different on the inside of this one, and I just took a piece of the strip of this paper that comes out of when you cut these designer series papers. When you cut, all of them were 4 inches by 5 1/4, and they'll fit right on the front of the card. And so you would just put that, I'm just going to show you on the finished one there. And there are some other images in this stamp set, which I think I'm going to stamp on my envelopes to bring them in. But you've got this floral, this one, and this one here. So I think I'm going to put those on my envelopes. I think they would look cute that way. So there you go. Do not lose this die that was missing in action for, I probably think, 15 minutes the other day. There we go. And you've got your 3 cards. 1, 2, 3. Those 3 cards were made with just running through the scallop in Moody Mauve, the scallop in white, and where is that other piece of green to show you that? Did I throw it? I might have pitched it. No, it's right over here. Here. So I just used these 3 pieces here and used the scallop on this card. I used the scallop on this card, but I took the middle that fell out and put on this one after I embossed it through the Dashing Designs embossing folder. Then I used that die out of that, and then that became the piece that fell out of there. So just 3 swipes, well, 4 technically when you emboss this piece here, you have these beautiful floral designed cards. They've all got a fun sentiment on there with a neat font. So you can play around with that Wildly Flowering Suite that has the Wildflower designs. Even if you don't get the stamp set, you must get the dies, because the dies are an amazing die set that you can do a lot of different things. But it does have the 4 floral die cuts as well. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me. You can call me at 724-323-2296. You can also text there. I love getting photos from people who have made my card or used other products to do a similar design or technique that I've done. Also, don't forget you have till June 1st to sign up for the June 2024 Busy Bee bag. I am featuring the Elegant Tag Topper Punch along with the Simply Said stamp set, but you can use any stamp, any dies that you have. Actually, this one is a really fun bag because it has a really neat products that I'm putting into it. So I hope you will try it out. I'm thinking of doing a video for next week just showing you some of the cards we've done and what the Busy Bee bags are like, because I really do think it's a great value. You get 8 card kits with the envelopes, and then you get a tutorial and a video of 4 cards designed, and you can use the products in your Busy Bee bag. And of course, the products I put in the Busy Bee bag value $20 to $25 in the bag of actual product. And of course, you're not going to use, like for instance, if I added this designer series paper in there for $12.50 and I added one of the ribbons and made it $20, or I added an embellishment or something, you are not going to use all of that on 3 cards. You are going to be building up your craft supply with different designer papers, different embellishments, different ribbons. So give it a try. You can go to my blog and just press the register button there. You can register, pay there. It's all done. I mail everything out by usually the 20th of the month, and I think you will not be disappointed. Thanks for buzzing by, friends.